Alrighty, welcome back. We're back at it. We had a long drive there yesterday. It was kind of fun to have the drive, but yet we didn't get a whole lot done. I did get to come in the shop and do a little bit of blocking on the hood. But basically what I'm doing right at the present moment, we had a 9/16 bolt in there and it was sloppy on the engine mount. I've changed them out for the 3/4 inch bolt. I put a 3/4 inch bolt in that at the bottom, and I bolted the top with a 3/4 inch 1-inch bolt. I have what is going on when the engine is in there and I let down the engine. The engine was allowed to go back and forth because of the extensions that I put on there. Now that I have the engine in there, I've changed the bolts so everything's tight and right. I have the right size bolt so I get a true read. Now I've got them tightened up so the engine's not rocking back and forth. But it can rock them back and forth on that right there, the extensions that I put in there. And the reason I put the extensions in there is to give myself more room for the steering and more room for the oil pan. The oil pan was down a little bit, and also the steering was very close. So I made those extensions. I could have spent money, but I did not want to spend money. My brain does not go to spending money. It goes to what can I do to fix it. So I made 4 little tabs. And Jim helped me the other day, helped me put it in, and things went well. But now I had to change all the bolts out to make it fit and give me a true read. And what's going to happen is now that I have it in there and have a true read on everything, I'm going to have to weld my extensions to my motor mounts. So it does not move. They are bolted there right now. They're bolted nice and tight to be where it's supposed to be or where I want it. And now when I take it out, I will weld those extensions to the motor mount itself so it cannot rock or fall. The transmission is fitting good now. I took the transmission and cut the mount off. It was just a little piece of weld on this corner, little piece of weld there, and it fell right off. Now the transmission's in there. Everything's looking really good. What I have to do right at the present moment is I have to tell Jolene that she's my Valentine. Happy Valentine's Day, baby.
Thanks.
Also, I want to thank everybody for all the votes on the jet setter. It's not done yet, believe me. It's fluctuating full time. We appreciate everybody that's helping out Jolene. We appreciate it. Jolene's growing through this process, knowing that, just because, you want something doesn't mean you get it. It means you work for it. And Jolene's going for it. And if it's not decided until Thursday, it's not decided until Thursday. No, it's not. So all we have to do is keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, and maybe we can end up like the LA Rams in the final little bit, take over and do what has to be done to win the game. But Jolene is growing through this process, and I enjoy it because the realization that just because you want something doesn't mean you get it. You got to work for it, and it's good to see that. And I want to thank everybody for pushing, and let's keep pushing because it's not over until Thursday. It's not over. So right now, what I've done, I've taken the jacks, the engine hoist. I've let the engine down to see if everything's okay. I'm not sure if I should tack it with the welder. I can tack it with the welder here right now, so it does not move, but I don't think it's going to move where we have it bolted. I have it bolted in there nice and tight right now. You can see that on Facebook if you want to, I think. I'm not sure. But right now, I want to take off the engine picker and pull that out. I got the car up on jack stands. I want to pull that out. I want to see if the intake fits. And then once I get the intake on it, then I want to see if my louvers are going to fit. If I do not try that, I have no idea if it's going to fit or not. Basically. That's where it's at. I started taking that bolt out. That's why it came out so fast. Jolene said, "Hold up! I want to film this. Hold up." She's my Valentine, so I stopped. Alrighty, let's take this one out. Now I'm saying that I got the bolts in the motor mounts tight enough that it's not going to take off anywheres. I would never run it that way, just like that. I'd have to, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to weld them tabs to the motor mounts to make sure, because it can rock, because when I let it down it did rock, and it proved it to me. It's something I thought about, but when I let it down it proved it to me, which I knew it would, but that's okay. At least what I can say, I have saved myself some money in my eyes. I have saved myself some money because of the simple fact is I'm not going to go buy another oil pan. So I'm saving myself $300, $400, $500. I'm not sure. But you can do the exact same thing when it comes to your project. When I'm building something, my brain does not go to what can I buy. Does not go to that. It goes to what can I fix? What can I make? And also, I do not even want to leave the shop when I'm building something. I must say, here in Nova Scotia right now, we are getting some of the most, it's not drastic weather, but the weather combined that we've had in the last 2 weeks is really, it's really quite something else, because like we went and looked at a car yesterday, and when you see the snow, you say, well, dig the snow out and take a look at it. Well, we can't do that. The snow that you see on the ground right now is ice. It is ice. We had a rain, we had an ice storm, and then we had melting snow. It's all ice. So in our dooryard, we'd have to have a jackhammer to get rid of the snow. And in our driveway, we have a bunch of ice that you'd have to have a jackhammer to get rid of. And right now, we have 6 inches of ice on our driveway. Now we are getting fluffy snow. So now when you go out the door, you don't know whether to lay down and fall first or try to wait till later. It's funny because I come up to work on the hood after we got home. It was a little later on at nighttime. It was dark. I decided to come up and block the hood out. So I walked out and just want to, come up to the garage. And I end up slipping on the ice and falling against our truck and stowing in the quarter panel. Like crazy. I'm lucky enough that it come back out, but it was quite something. It just seems to be, it's getting worse, and it's quite aggravating actually, because you can't even walk outside. And also, Jim messaged Jolene this morning. If you have time and you enjoy Jim's time, Jim's probably laying down in his house because he fell last night and hurt himself on the ice. I think he probably hurt his ribs. Well, I know he hurt his ribs because he messaged us and told us that he wasn't having a good time. He had hurt himself. So, if you have time and you want to message Jim, he'd probably talk to you. He's probably not busy right at the present moment, laying in the house, ailing his sore ribs. Just want to make sure everything's out of the way there. What I want to do is I want to get the intake and just lay it on there and see if I'm underneath of my cowl panel. That's basically what I want to do. That's what I'm doing. I got the hood blocked out last night. I had to add a little bit, and I had to take some out. I'm thinking that this intake is no taller or no shorter than that intake. So this is the intake I'm going to use for now. I've got a different intake. This intake here is for not mechanical, but this is what I'm going to do. These things are in my way. The wheel things are in my way. I got the car up on jack stands. Yes, I do. They're going to stay there because they're jacked all the way up, I guess. Hard going. So I've got the intake. I want to see if the intake is going to fit underneath. It's up there a little ways. I don't know what's holding it up. Something on the other side. There we go. Fell down the other side there. That did. Must be a bolt that's holding it up. Alrighty. That looks good. So we're underneath of that. Awesome. And we're just underneath it by enough by the looks of things. So it's up here a little ways. Not sure. And this here is up there a little ways. Let's check it out. I'm going to take this piece here. This is the piece that I made that's going to hold my louvers. Stick that in there. I have this piece I took off to put the engine in. We had to undo the steering. That was fine. Had to undo this piece. That was fine. It's all movable now. Take this out. Looks like we're going to be good. But you don't know until you do the deal, I guess. You having a hard time, sweetheart?
Yep.
Same as me. Same as me. Put that in there first, I guess. See what happens there. I have to pull that out. Goes in there. So that's what I'm going to have to do next time, too. I'm going to have to do that. I think we're going to be... going to have to do that. Has to be done. That. What?
Yeah.
So I got a louver system here. Just the center pan is what I'm really interested in. Each side, one I think is going to work. Well, I know the side ones are going to work. Wow. I did not overdo it, did I? Ouch. If I try to fit that down on there, I'm not sure if that's going to sit down on there or not with that center. Looks like the center's holding it up, or nope. That'll fit down. And it's not going to hit. I think there's room underneath that. Yeah, probably an eighth. Absolutely awesome. So now I'm going to be able to know that I'm going to be able to use what I've made. I did not know before. It's sunk down there in the middle. I don't want that. I'm going to end up putting a shelf on there, or I'm going to make something on the panel itself, maybe that that it plugs in there that holds it up. So I do not want that look there in the back. I want the look to go with the cowl itself. I want that round shape. I do not want it sunk in like that. But we can see that what I've got going on is going to work. And for me, that's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the engine, just going to put that there for now. I'm going to leave the engine in there because I want to find out, basically I want to mock up everything. I want to know where we're going to put the wiring harness. where the wiring harness is going, how it's all going to be plugged in. I still have to know. I wouldn't mind actually doing the exhaust. I like to put some exhaust on it, and then I could run the pipe out where the exhaust is before. I know exhaust comes after, but where I have the engine in there now, it'd be such a great time to hook that exhaust up and make that exhaust so I can just plunk it on when it's time. And to know that that's all going to work is absolutely fantastic. If I had to shave a little bit off, which I don't, because of it works. Let's do this just to show how much room we do have. It can come up a little bit. Yes, it can. I see this side is down a little bit. Well, that now, would you? I said 1/8, didn't I? And that's the distance we have right there. And it looks like it could be setting on that a little bit. I'm allowed to shave that off. And the reason being, that can come up a little bit, maybe a little bit on the other side. I can cut that off because I wouldn't put the cover on if I didn't have to, where I've got the louvers on top. I could also, where I have that done, I could put that Vortec cover on and cut a hole in the louvers and have that setting in the middle of it. That might not look bad. But basically, I do not want the cover laying down below this. I want it up on this part here, so that has to be finished being welded. The engine is setting in where I want it to set. Watch yourself, sweetheart. Backing up. I've got the engine staying where it's wanted. It's right in the center, which is awesome. Yeah, so we've got an LS engine in a 55 Merc. And we did not do anything really drastic other than instead of the mounts being down where I welded them on the cross member, they could have come up a little bit further. I have a truck, it has a truck oil pan on it where I've made the extensions and bring it up a little bit higher. The truck oil pan, I should be fine. This car does not lay frame. It lays close, but it does not lay frame, and we're maybe an inch or so below, maybe. We could show that, I suppose. Possibly. The transmission mount, we'll make that when I would say when the body's off, because I got to take the body off this car. We're a different color pink underneath. I'm going to change that. So basically, I guess with what's going on, I should start the welder up and tack that mount in place. And all I'm going to do is I've got it nutted up nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and tack the mount. I'm going to tack the mount exactly where it should be. And that way there, when I pull the engine back out, nothing is moved, or if it has moved, I'll know because the weld will be broke. That's exactly what will happen. The weld will be broke. And if it's not broke, I know it hasn't moved. So that's what I'm doing. So we know the louvers. It's awesome. Happy Valentine's Day, sweetheart. Happy Valentine's Day. So, I know where I'm going to do it. So where I've got everything, lined up here, I'm in good order, because I know everything's going to work. That's what I'm saying. I'm in good order. If I did not do this work here, I would not know whether it's going to work or not, whether I paint it, whether it's worth it or not. And we're doing good. Jolene's doing good. She's a jet set, and she is. If she does not win this thing, that does not mean a damn thing. All it means is that she went for something and she's growing. I think she made a little video saying how she feels about things. And, fear holds you back sometimes. And I guess that's one of my greatest, one of my best things is fear does not hold me back from building something. It does not hold me back from showing you what I'm doing. If I was insecure about anything, you think I would show you exactly how I build a car? Probably not. probably holds a lot of people back, being insecure what they're doing. And basically what I like showing is you don't have to be insecure about anything. You build it your way, do what you want to do, make yourself happy. What other people think is none of your business. You just continue on, do what you got to do. And Jolene is doing that right at the present moment because she is doing what she wants to do. And see exactly what I've got going on here. I just want to tack on the mount to the bolt so nothing moves, basically. And if it's ugly at first, we'll clean it up when we get it out. If it's ugly at first, we'll clean it up when we get it out. Yeah, just leave it on. That should be fine. Turn it up a little bit. Turn her up a little bit, just to make sure. Now I just want to tack that in place so it don't go anywhere. That's all I want to do. Don't want to heat anything up too much. Just want to tack it in place so it don't go nowhere. So I know that when I take it out that we're in the right spot. Not welding the best, but like I said, we'll clean it up when we get it out. So all I did is welded the nut, the lock washer, the mount, and the bracket going down. Just one little bead across it. So when I take it off, it doesn't go anywhere. Looks good. Just looking at it, make sure. So I'm welding the nut, the lock washer, the mount, and the extension, all one little line. Not heating up a bunch of stuff. Just put a little tack on it, make sure it stays in place. All right, baby. Huh? Doing what I think I need to do, get it done. So when I take out the mount, the bolt for the mount, these are not going to be moved because the bolts are tightened up, and I've welded it together with the bolt and the nut and the mount together. When I bring it out, then I'll weld them up so they're secure and they will not go anywhere. I know that the intake works. I know that my louver system's going to work. Basically now it's kind of just moving on. The steering is going to work. I've got a steering piece in here that I worked on while, what was I doing? I was doing something else, but I also worked on this. I have this piece here. I have a 3/4 inch ball socket that you get that goes with the steering column that I'm using, because we're using a stainless steel steering column going up through this hole right here. Now what I have to do, or what I'm going to do, this piece here goes on the inside, and it looks to me as it's close to that right there, and that fits in there, I'm going to have to take out some of this. And I'm going to have to draw that out, get in there with a with the die grinder and die grind some of it out. So I have to know. I'm just going to stick it in there from this side, Jolene. You can watch it on that side, sort of where it has to be. So when I put this up in here, you can basically see what I gotta chew out of that. And should have you on the other side with the marker, shouldn't I? Can you see where I got to chew out with that?
Yeah, it's like the distance of the lip around it.
Okay, so I got to take that out.
Looks like
what's got to happen is I'm going to shove a screw in it up here. Just so I can maybe see it. You know what I mean? I just want to get on there and mark it on the other side if I can. Just put a screwdriver in there. Now I can mark it from the other side. I know what's going on so I can see it. Oh yeah. Now I'm just going to get a marker. All this stuff has to be done. This is what I think I'm going to do, is now I got the engine in there, I've got it in place, it's not going to flop from side to side. I know that because I've got the bolts tight, and I also tacked it with the welder, it's not going anywheres. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jack the car up, I'm going to take the engine stands out, put it back on the trolley cart. I'm going to try to clean up a little bit in here, and then I want to take in the hood and get some primer on. I want to get it inside there. That means I have to do a bunch of jumbling around to get Jolene's chassis back out, get the trunk lid back out, and I'm going to get that primed, and I have to flop it over and do the underneath of it. So there's quite a bit of work I got to do there. So I'm just going to stand back and take a look. Basically it. And I got to chew that out of there to get that to sit in there nice. Then my steering column, I'm going to go up through that. There's a little lock, I don't know, a lock, but a jam pin in it. There's another name for it, I no doubt in my mind. There's a little pin on the other side there. You screw it in, it locks your steering column, but the steering column goes down through there. We need a 3/4 inch to a double D shaft. We do not have that. We have two 3/4 inch. We got to order that. We got a shaft or a joint we have to order for Jolene's Bugatti. We have to find out what the spline is on the rack and pinion. Then we're going to a double D shaft. We have a Heim joint that we have to order for Jolene's car. Maybe we can do that today because we need that stuff. We can't do it without it. So basically that has to come in through there and bolt in there. And that's where my steering column goes. So my joint will be there and my steering column will go through there. That's good. This is my brake system. I'm going to have to cut, when I put my brake system on, I'm going to have to cut a hole here, make a cover in the louvers. We got the louvers over there, so that has to go back on. I'm going to have to make a hole for that and do that before that happens. Lots of little things. I need a set of exhaust manifolds. And that would be nice to know, to get the exhaust manifolds on, to know where the exhaust exactly is at and get the pipes made. It's easier to crawl over the car before it's painted and then after it's painted. So basically that's what I'm thinking there. So, pull that out. Does that go up any higher when I do that? Does it look any different when I do that? Or is that mark still good?
It's still good.
Okay. Mark's still good. Pull that down. Steering box. Someone said I can fill that full of grease, which I really feel like I can. I still have to make windows for this. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with electric windows or I had an idea that what I wanted to do. And we're on air. Did you plug that in, sweetheart? Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Look at that. So I'm going to take that, knock that out. Would like to cover the engine over before I do that. That's good. I'm going to, actually, I want to put the steering back on. Actually, I'm going to put the steering back on first, just get things in place. So we know the engine's not going, just kind of going over it a little bit. I'm going to put the steering back on. And the steering's the iron down here. Remember, we got our giant holes in our frame right now to hook up our exhaust, which is good. That's all done. Now, for me to get that back on there, not quite sure how. I got my thing in my back pocket. Is that going to shut off? You want to check that? I just sat on that.
Do you want to put it in?
I'm going to put it in my front pocket. There we go. Now, this here's got to go back up on the... I don't know what arm this is called. It's a kind of a... It's a steering arm, obviously, of some sort. It's called... It's the name of it, but... There we go. Went on nice. Steering misses the...
Ow.
Oh, you hurt your back, sweetheart?
Yes.
Oh, poor thing. I'm just looking at the bolts, or the nuts, because I know the shiny side goes towards the chassis. That's all. Just investigating. Yeah, Jimbo slipped on the ice last night. Hurt his ribs. I'm going to take this one back off just to make sure I got it on there. Right, and I do. That's 9/16. 9/16. And all over here, got the air. The steering worked good now. It took a little bit to get the steering. You know, them extensions that I made for the motor mounts did the trick all the way around. They did the trick all the way around. 9/16. I need a 9/16, a little Fina Vina. That one there. Not sure where I put the 9/16 socket at. Right there. Pretty sure it's 9/16. 16th, I turn it on. Cooking with gas. Cooking with gas. Just enough room for the transmission. It's good enough for now. Oh, that's the one that had to change up. Good enough for now. Gets my steering hook back up, it does. Up a little bit, that'll be fine. Now, we're back at the oil pan again, and it is touching it right at the present moment. And I would say it's touching it because, well, I know it's touching it. The steering is back touching the oil pan. And the reason being is the engine's laying back too far. So if I take and push the engine up a little bit in the back, because we had a lot more room yesterday, the engine's laying back a little bit too far. You can see how it's angled in there quite heavy. The engine's angled back quite heavy. Once I get the transmission mount in there, because it's sitting right down on the cross member itself now I have to make a transmission mount, and I'll have to bring that up some. I'll have to bring that up some. Also, I have a piece on the transmission. It has a rib on the transmission. I'm going to have to grind the center rib down a little bit, so when I bring it up a little bit, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so that's just going to have to come up in a bit, and that will take that front and turn it down a little bit. Where I have this welded in, I took and tacked that back piece in there. I'm just kind of wondering when just thinking to myself, that's all. Thinking to myself, my dipstick for my transmission, it worked perfect. We've got gap there. Just looking at the steering again. On the steering yesterday, we had a lot more room. And the reason being is when I cut that transmission mount out of there. That's actually quite nice, actually, where it goes there. We've got room. Cool. Alrighty, we're good. We're golden. Just jack that up a little tiny bit in the back of there. I'm going to pull these out. I'm going to jack up the car and let it down on those stands itself. And that's going to have to come up a little bit in the back of the transmission, which pulls the oil pan up a little bit further. Just going it all over it in my head, that's all. Steering's hooked back up. Get these back in place. I'm going to jack the car up and let it down on the rollers. That way there I can move a bunch of stuff. Watch yourself, sweetheart. Where'd I put the jacks? Over there? Don't know as if I want to jack it right up in the center on the frame or do one side at a time. I'm thinking that I'm going to do check my mic. She's touching me, boys. She woke up at 8 looking like a 10. Alrighty, what I'm going to do is you jack it up in the front, take them both at the same time. On that front cross member, yes I can. Should be able to. Let's do it. No, that's going to not come down, isn't it? The jack's going to hit on the jack. So I got to do one side at a time. So I'll do this side first. So basically, I'm going to leave the engine in there for a while. And the reason being is I want to run the wiring harness. Have to talk it over my own head. run the wiring harness, try to get it mocked up the best I can. That's going to go down quite a ways because the air is out of the front end. Then we'll get to see the oil pan, where it's at. Might want to move that. Not sure. Come on now. Hopefully that works out good for me. Ain't bottomed out yet. Now I'm going to do this. Jack that back up. Put that right there. Turn the wheel. Get it where it should be. Get this out where it should be. Then we'll let it down. That's the door. Whew. Leave that there for a second. That's quite something. that got out for me. We're off to the other side. I stole the air for Jolene's car. In the right spot, hopefully. Sometimes it's a game just to find out and know how to jack a car up. So, with the air out, jacking the car up is kind of an issue. A little bit of one. Now, engine's still in place. We know it's got to come up. You can see that it's leaned back way too far. Not way too far, but it's leaned back a little bit farther than I want. The engine is. It could come up like a half inch in the back, which will give me some more clearance on the underneath. If you can see from this angle, coming from the side angle, it's leaned back quite a ways. It can be turned up a ways, it can. Do you know what I mean? Like it can just lean down quite a ways. We have more than an inch to go there to come up just a little bit, which will help out a little bit on the steering because the steering knuckle is hit just touching on the oil pan a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is take a look underneath. Not sure what side we want to go on. Wow. So also, we're up. So let's figure it out here for a second. I might have to take this a second. I want to do. We're up at probably the bottom of the wheel. We're up 2 inches. A second here. We're probably up 2 inches. We're up 2 inches. So 2 inches down, we'd probably only be an inch off. 2 inches more down, we probably the oil pan would only be an inch off the ground. So that would be laid out. We'd have an inch. With the car laid out, we'd have an inch on the ground. Now, as I get to talking about the inch on the ground, now if we come up, if we bring the motor up in the back a little bit with the transmission mount, if we bring this up a little bit in the back, which we can, and we will, because of the transmission mount in the back, or the transmission will bring that up a little bit. Then we'll have a little bit more room down on the oil pan. Not that it's going to hit the ground when it's up in the air. No, it's not. It's still going to have an inch on the ground when it's laid out. Still going to have an inch, hopefully. So right now, as I'm figuring this all out, I know that the engine has to be tilted ahead a little bit. Basically, what I'm saying on this part here, on these little tabs, there's a little bit of movement on them tabs up on the top of the tab. On the bottom of the tab, there's no movement. On the top of the tab, there is some movement because of this. These are slotted out here. So as I've had that on the engine, I'm saying that this one, the bolt is at the bottom, and on the back one, it's probably on the top. We're going to have to probably just knock the weld off the back one and just turn it up a little bit and pull it down a little bit. So when we put the engine back in, it's probably what I'm going to. Well, I'll have to take a look at it when I pull it out, but I'm going to want where I've got it tacked on right now is basically where the mount wants for the engine to set. So what I'm saying is I like where the front mount is, I like where the front tab is, but what I'm saying about the back tab could probably come down a little bit. It's probably sitting up, and it probably can come down a little bit to help bring the engine up in the back. Just so there's no tension on that, that's all, before I weld it up. But I have to bring the oil pan, or the transmission mount, I've got to bring it up a little bit. It can't rest down like that. I want it up a little bit for the steering and for the distance of the transmission. Going through this just in my brain, and I'm telling you what I'm thinking. You can see down there, right in the center of the transmission, if you want to take a look, sweetheart. Right on the center of the transmission, there is I'm going to get a stick. I got a stick here somewhere. Right on the center of the transmission, there is a rib that's very close to the tunnel of the car, and that rib is right there, right at the end of my thing where it's sticking. You can see where we're sticking right there. There's a rib right there. There's some distance through there. Yes, there is. I can put that ruler in there, but I'm going to end up grinding that down a little bit, that rib. So for when that transmission tunnel comes, there you can see it right there. Yep, you can see it. When the transmission comes up in the back, that's going to be close to that tunnel. So I know I'll have to keep that in my brain when I pull the engine and transmission back out, that I'll grind that down so we have a little bit more room, because this is going to be coming up a little bit. Probably, I'll say 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. That's basically all it's coming up. Probably a 1/2 inch. Probably that much, and basically what that will do is that'll give that a 1/2 inch taller there. That'll give it a 1/2 inch down there. It'll give me a 1/2 inch down at the oil pan, and a 1/2 inch on the steering. There's stuff I have to remember for when I take it out. Basically, that's about it. Alrighty, let's give away a hat or a shirt. Let's do it. And the reason I'm saying that is because I got a lot of figuring going on in my brain, what I have to do. And what I have to do is clean this area up. Clean this area up. I want to pull Jolene's chassis out. I want to prime the hood. I got the hood primed. Maybe I say give away a hat or a shirt too early sometimes, because sometimes I carry on. I got the hood blocked out. This is a hood welded on top of a hood. I took some out. You can see where I took some out, and I had to add some here. Just kind of, it was low there. I'm not sure from the hinges bending. It's kind of weak there. And you can see where I sanded. I've sanded down to the ocean floor, and then I stopped. Wherever I started hitting metal, I don't want to see metal in it, basically, but I've got metal showing. I 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 got, basically, when you hit metal, that's the end of it. And I'm using a block with 80 grit. Block with 80 grit. Never went over, haven't gone over the car with a block yet. It was all done with a DA, but I blocked this out, and I've come to realize what's going on. So now I'm thinking that, you know, someone said, how many coats of primer do you put on? Well, I'm probably going to put 3 or 4 or 5 coats of primer on this. And that way there, if I put 3 or 4 or 5 coats of primer on this, when I go to block it out, I won't have to prime it again. I'll have enough material on there to get the job done. And basically that's what I want to do. So it's probably 4 to 5 coats of primer I will put on this, and then I will let it dry a couple days, maybe a week. But yeah, that's what I'll do. It will not be 1 coat. I will not have enough product on there to paint it. Not paint it. I would have enough product to paint it, but I would not have enough product to block it and make sure it is what it should be. And I guide coated that every time that I sanded it, and I will guide coat it until the end, basically. Got the engine in there, sitting back, nice. Fan's going to be out about here. It's going to be quite a ways from the radiator. I enjoy that the engine is back in there a little bit. Let's face it, generally your engine's way past your engine's generally right about here is the middle, is your suspension, so your fan would be way up here, so we know that there'd be more weight on the front end. With the engine back a little bit, I enjoy it. And the reason being is it's less weight on the front suspension, less roll, more equalization. Let's give away a hat or a shirt. Let's do it. The weather we're getting is something else. It's just really aggravating. We can't walk to the house without paying attention. You have to walk like a penguin. And when I mean walk like a penguin, you have to put your head forward of your feet and walk carefully everywhere you go around the dooryard. There's snow that's like fluff, and then there's 6-inch ice underneath of it, and none of it can be moved. All right, everybody, make sure we keep voting for Jolene on Jet Setter. We just got to keep going and keep going. You know, it is what it is, and we're going to do the best we can. That's what we always do, but we want to keep voting right to the end. She's in 4th place in her group. She has never been there before because I think that it's coming down to the end, and just my belly button, my thought. I'm thinking that money's starting to get involved, and we are not about money. We are about saving money, and everybody sending in votes is not spending money. It's doing what should be done, in my opinion. But let's keep voting, let's keep voting, let's keep voting, see if we can get her up there and get the best we can. And basically that's all we can do. And make sure you and I know that people grow from this stuff. Jolene is going to grow from this, and there's nothing better than growth. David Thacker. David Thacker, you've won a hat or a shirt of your choice. We appreciate you taking your time and writing in a comment. Make sure you vote for Jolene, and get your friends to vote for her. Get your mother, get your father, get your daughter, get your sister, everybody voting. That's what we got to do. We just got to tell everybody and get more people voting and make it so it's not about the money. Chad, I always stretch a latex glove over the tail shaft. This comment is not going where I thought it was going, but great idea. I always take a latex glove, over the dry shaft of my transmission, and tape it and keep it from making a mess out from leaking transmission fluid. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I wished I would have done that. Taken a latex glove. If I can remember that, that's what I will do next time, because the latex glove would hold the transmission fluid. I could tape it on. Thanks, David Thacker. Great idea. I'm going to use it. Appreciate it. Have a good one, everybody. Keep voting, keep voting, keep voting. And it's not over until it's over.